Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to continue in the CompTIA Pentest Plus as I move through tools and code analysis with Python Basics. Python Basics looks like it's a pretty lengthy room. It says it's estimated at 80 minutes, and we have 10 tasks to get through. I've lost my streak, but it looks like if I click this, I can get it back if I complete this room. And it also nicely shows that at some point in the past, I had an 88-day streak that I lost. It's probably a long time ago, but anyway, I want to get through this one. I want to get through it faster than 80 minutes, so we are going to jump right in. All right, let's jump into Task 1, Introduction to Python. In this room, you will get hands-on with and learn about the scripting programming language Python. Although programming isn't required to succeed in security, it's a great skill to have. As the Scripting for Pentesters module demonstrates, being able to program will allow you to create security tools and quick scripts that will aid you in hacking as well as defending and analyzing. This room will teach you variables, loops, functions, data structures, if statements, and files. You'll be using the code editor on the right-hand side to complete exercises and solve challenges. This room will teach you the basics, just enough to give you the knowledge to make your basic scripts. If you want to use your development environment to code, download Python on the official website, which gives you an IDE, integrated development environment, to code in. In programming, syntax is important as it describes the structure of a valid programming language. In simple terms, syntax tells the computer how to read code using rules that control the structure of symbols, punctuation, and words of a programming language. Answer the question below. So we want to open the site. And just a quick note, I'll have in the description of the video timestamps to easily navigate to when I answer these questions. So you should be able to find that in the description. Run what's currently in the code editor by clicking the green Run Code button on the right-hand side of your screen and move on to the next task. So we're going to go ahead and run this code, and it prints Learn Security with Tryhackme. And done with task 1, we'll move on to task 2. Hello world. To begin, let's create a simple program that outputs some text. As you can see from the example code block above, it's just one line, shown on line 2, and when we run this code, it will output the text, Hello world. Let's break this down. In the example, line 1 is a comment, a line starting with a hashtag symbol, and is not run by the computer. A comment is written by the programmer, you, to help other people reading the code understand what is going on. We can control what is output on the screen by using print and the parentheses statement. Anything inside of the parentheses will be output. However, because we are printing a string, more on data types later in this room, we have to put them inside quotations. Please note, this room's examples are for Python 3. Answer the question below. On the code editor, print hello world, what is the flag? So we want to go into our code editor, and like it said, we want to keep it between the quotes and type hello world and run the code, and we get our flag for task 2. Try to copy it all. Control C, Control V, and we do have a hint. Let's just check the hint. In the code editor on the right hand side, replace, and it's just telling us to replace it and then run the code. Check it. And we're on to task 3. Mathematical operators. Let's now cover mathematical operators and how they can be applied to Python. Like a calculator, there are operations such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Using Python, we can code our calculator. After all, programming is just writing rules for the computer to follow given specific inputs and conditions. The table below shows the different operations. On the left-hand column, we have our operators, addition, subtraction, multiplication. The syntax in the middle column. And in the right column, we have our examples. Now that we know the basic mathematical operators, let's move on to comparison operators. They play a big part in Python, and we will build upon them when we look at loops and if statements. These operators are used to evaluate programs' conditions at a particular state. And on the left, we have the symbols greater than, less than, equal to, and the actual syntax in the right column. Answer the question below. In the code editor, print the result of 21 plus 43. What is the flag? Let's look at our hint. We want to do 21 plus 43, but we want to get rid of the quotes now. It looks like 21 plus 43. And if you're having any issues with these tasks, you could just scroll up and look at the syntax, and then the example should help you out. Let's go ahead and run the code. And we've got our addition flag. Control C, throw that in. Now print the results of 142 minus 52. What is the flag? And again, just backspace 142 minus 52. Run the code. And then we have our flag. And it outputs the numerical value below. Check it. Okay, what's the next one? Print the result of 10 times 342. What is the flag? 10 times 342. Run the code. 3,420. And importantly, we get our multiplication flag. Throw that in. Print the result of 5 squared. What is the flag? Let's look at our hint. 5 times 2. And that would also be our exponent here. You can see, so 5 times 2. Run the code. 25. Grab our flag. Let's clear our room. And 7 of 18 questions answered. Okay. Which might be a little bit more because I'd started Advent of Cyber, but then said I got to do this room. I keep getting myself distracted. Let's move on to task 4. Variables and data types. Variables allow you to store and update data in a computer program. You have a variable name and store data to that name. In the example above, we have 2 variables. The variable named food stores the string or words ice cream, while another variable called money stores the number 2000. Variables are powerful as you can change them throughout your program. The following example sets the age variable to 30. Then we increase the age variable by 1, making the final variable data 31. Feel free to copy and paste this into the editor, run the code, see the output. Let's grab that. Throw it in, run the code, and we get the output of 31. Notice on line 2, the way we update a variable on the left, and we have the already created variable name age followed by the equal operator. On the right, we have what we're setting the variable to. In our case, the age variable, which is currently set to 30, is being increased by 1. Let's talk about the data types. Which is the type of data being saved in a variable? You can store text or numbers and many other types. The data types to know are string, used for combinations of characters such as letters or symbols, integers, whole numbers, floats, numbers that contain decimal points or for fractions, Boolean, used for data that is restricted to true or false options, and then a list. Sets of different data types stored in a collection, and we have some examples in this picture. In the code editor, create a variable called height and set the initial height to 200. So let's do height equals 200. Oh. And check that. On a new line, add 50 to the height variable. So I'm just going to follow what they kind of did here. Now we want height equals 200 plus 50. And 50. On another new line, print out the value of height. What is, oh, and the flag should appear. So what is the flag that appears? So let's print parentheses height. And that should be it. Let's run the code. And it looks like 250 is the answer and our flag. I'm going to grab that up. Fill that in and check it. Moving on to task 5. Logical and Boolean operators. Logical operators allow assignment and comparisons to be made and are used in conditional testing such as if statements. Then we have our logical operations on the left, equivalence less than. Then we have our operators in the middle column and our examples in the right. Boolean operators are used to connect and compare relationships between statements, like an if statement. Conditions can be true or false. And then we have our Boolean operations on the left, the operator, and our examples. Let's look at a few Python code samples. So we've got some samples here, and we want to read the above section. Okay, so A equals 1. If A equals 1 or A is greater than 10, print A is either 1 or above 10. And let's try running it. Maybe we can run it. Okay, that didn't like how I copied it. A is either 1 or above 10. Yeah, exactly. And then we've got name equals Bob, hungry equals true. If name equals Bob and hungry equals true, print Bob is hungry. Elif name equals Bob and not hungry, print Bob is not hungry. Else, and then we have a comment next to that, it's going to print not sure who this is or if they are hungry. Let's try running this one. And we get Bob is hungry. Answer the question below. Read the above section, and we did. So we're going to check that. And move on to task 6. Shipping project. Introduction to if statements. Using if statements allows programs to make decisions. They let a program make a decision based on a condition. Below is an example of how an if statement can be used to determine the section of code, which print statement to use. And then we have an example here. In the example, if you are younger than 17, the program will output the text, "You are not old enough to drive." However, if you are over the age of 17, the program will output, "You are old enough to drive." Depending on a condition, in this example, it's the age variable, the program will run a different code section. There are some key components we noted from our code example above. The if keyword indicates the beginning of the if statement, followed by a set of conditions. The if statement is only run if the conditions or set of conditions is true. In our example, it's age less than 17. The condition is true, age is below 17, the code within the if statement runs. The conditions are not met, the program will default to running the code shown in the else print of the if statement. A colon marks the end of the statement of the if statement. Note the indentation. Anything after the colon that is indented is considered part of the if statement, which the program will execute. Then we have a flow chart here. If statements are essential in programming and will be something you use a lot. And answer the questions below. In this exercise, we will code a small application that calculates and outputs the shipping cost for a customer based on how much they've spent. In the code editor, click on the shipping.py tab and follow the instructions to complete the task. Let's check. And let's click on shipping.py. Once you've written the application in the code editor's shipping.py tab, a flag will appear, which is the answer to this question. Let's look at the hint. Need a hint? On the code editor to the left of the Run Code button, there will be a hint button to help you get started. Okay. And our hint. Okay, so it looks like it added to our code here. Let's look at this. Shipping cost per kilogram is $1.20. Customer basket cost is 34. Customer basket weight is 44. Customer basket cost, we want to make this, it's greater than or equal to 100. They should have free shipping. Shipping cost equals height plus per kilogram. Customer basket cost equals X. Can we just do total cost? Let's do total cost equals, and then we'll add them up. Customer basket cost plus shipping cost, right? Total basket cost. We want this to be our total. And let's run it. Total basket cost including shipping is 86.8. Let's grab this and throw it in. Flag to that one. In shipping.py, on line 15, when using the code editor's hint, change the customer basket cost variable to 101. After you run the code, you will get a flag. The total cost is correct based on your code. The flag to answer this question. Okay. So for this, we're going to want to do shipping cost. It says customer basket cost variable to 101. Customer basket cost, we're going to switch this to 101. Basket weight is 44. Total cost, then we're going to switch. Total cost. I want to change our print line here to total cost. Customer basket cost. Else we want to print, or else we want to run shipping cost equals customer basket weight, shipping cost per kilogram, total cost equals customer basket cost plus shipping cost. I think this should be right, total cost. Let's run it. All right, and we get our answer. Including shipping is 101. Grab our flag, throw it in, check it. And we can move on to task number 7. All right, let's start in loops. In programming, loops allow programs to iterate and perform actions a number of times. There are 2 types of loops, for and while loops. We're going to start with while loops. Let's begin by looking at how we structure a while loop. We can have the loops run indefinitely, or similar to an if statement, determine how many times the loop should run based on a condition. And we have our example here. This while loop will run 10 times, outputting the value of an I variable each time it iterates or loops. Let's break this down. And the example is I equals 1, while I is less than or equal to 10, print I, and then I equals I plus 1. The I variable is set to 1. The while statement specifies where the start of the loop should begin. Every time it loops, it will start at the top, outputting the value of I. Then it goes to the next line in the loop, which increases the value of I by 1. Then, as there is no more code for the program to execute, it goes to the top of the loop, starting the process over again. the program will keep on looping until the value of the I variable is greater than 10. And next we have for loops. A for loop is used to iterate over a sequence such as a list. Lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable and are created using square brackets, see below. Let's learn the following example. We've got websites equals, and then we've got our square brackets with Facebook.com in quotes, Google.com in quotes, and Amazon.com in quotes, separated by commas. Under that, we've got for site and websites with a colon, and then we've got our print statement site. This for loop shown in the code block above will run 3 times, outputting each website in the list. Let's break this down. The list variable called websites is storing 3 elements. The loop iterates through each element, printing out the element. The program stops looping when it's been through each element in the loop. To give a real-world scenario, you could create a program that checks if a website is online or if an item is in stock. You would loop through the website list and functionality inside the loop to check the website and output the results. The Python for Pentesters room shows you how to use Python to enumerate a target, build a keylogger, scan a network, and more. In Python, we can also iterate through a range of numbers using the range function. Below is an example Python code that will print the numbers from 0 to 4 in programming. 0 is often the starting number, so counting to 5 is 0 to 4, but 5 numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. For I in range, we've got 5 in parentheses, print I. All right, answer the question below. On the code editor, click on the script.py tab and code a loop that outputs every number from 0 to 50, and we've got a hint. You can use a for loop or while loop, but it must print from 0 to 50. So it says to go to script.py, and then we want to erase this. We're going to do for I in range. So we want to do one extra, 51. And then we're going to print I think. Let's run it and see. And it looks like that's right. We did get a flag. So I'm going to grab that and then scroll down and just check it out. And yeah, that's correct. It printed 50. Close this, paste our flag, check it, and we're on to task 8. Bitcoin project, introduction to functions. As programs start to get bigger and more complex, some of your code will be repetitive, writing the same code to do the same calculations, and this is where functions come in. A function is a block of code that can be called at different places in your program. You can have a function to work out a calculation, such as distances between 2 points on a map, or output formatted text based on certain conditions. Having functions removes repetitive code, as the function's purpose can be used multiple times throughout a program. And then we have an example here. There are some key components we can note from this function. The def keyword, or def keyword, indicates the beginning of a function. The keyword is followed by a name that the programmer defines and can be used to call the function. In our example, it's say hello. Following the function name is a pair of parentheses that output values, data that we can pass into the function. In our example, it's a variable called name. A colon marks the end of a function header. In the function, notice the indentation. Similar to if statements, anything after a colon that is indented is considered part of the function. A function can also return a result. See the code block below, and we have this function below. If we call the calc cost function and pass in suites as the item parameter, the function will return a decimal point or float. In the code above, we take a variable called spent and the cost of suites through the calc cost function. When we call calc cost, it will return the number 3.99, and this number will be added to the spent variable, returning a total of $13.99. Answer the questions below. You've invested in Bitcoin and want to write a program that tells you when the value of Bitcoin falls below a particular value in dollars. In the code editor, click on the Bitcoin.py tab. Write a function called Bitcoin to USD with two parameters, Bitcoin and amount. The amount of the Bitcoin you own and Bitcoin value USD. The value of Bitcoin in USD. The function should return USD value, which is your Bitcoin value in USD. To calculate this, in the function, U times Bitcoin amount variable by Bitcoin value USD variable and return the value. To start the function, the start of the function should look like, and then we have def Bitcoin to USD. We've got this, might need to grab that. Once you've written the Bitcoin USD function, use the calculate the value of your Bitcoin in USD and then create an if statement to determine the value falls below 30,000. If it does, output a message to alert you via a print statement. Okay. All right, so we've got a hint. Let's check that out. Make sure your Python function has the name of Bitcoin to USD and uses the parameter names Bitcoin amount and Bitcoin value USD. All right, so it said to go to Bitcoin Pi, and it looks like we've got, okay, in this project, you'll create a program that tells you when the value of your Bitcoin falls below 30,000. You will need to create a function to convert Bitcoin to USD. If your Bitcoin falls below 30,000, print a message. You can assume that one Bitcoin is worth 40,000. I wonder what it is. I don't even know what it is today. Last I knew it was around 100K, but whatever. Investment into Bitcoin, 1.2, Bitcoin USD. Okay. Bitcoin value. All right, write a function to calculate Bitcoin to USD. Use the function to calculate if the investment is below 30,000. Yeah, investment in Bitcoin. All right, so let's start with USD. And it says we need to use this here. Did not work. Let's see. Okay, that looks right. We should be able to return Bitcoin. Make sure I spell it right. Amount. We want to multiply that by Bitcoin. Oh gosh, I can't spell Bitcoin. Value USD. And then number 2, we want to do USD value equals. Okay, Bitcoin to USD in Bitcoin, and we want Bitcoin to USD. Calculate if the investment is below 30,000. Use the function to calculate it. I think we're already doing that. Okay. What do I want to write? Actually, backspaced a bit too much. Bitcoin to USD. We want the if statement below this. If USD value less than 30.23 colon, then we want to print. I feel like I'm running out of space here. Can I Let's go ahead and get rid of this comment. If USD value is less than 30,000, we want to print alert. Your Bitcoin investment is below, and we'll do 30 and do 3. Now I'm doing an exclamation mark. Then we want to do else. Okay, so give me some more space here. Else we're going to print so that you can see this. Your Bitcoin investment is worth, and we can multiply this by USD value. Okay. If output message alert print statement, is that right? Just double checking. Oh, there's another hint. Do I hit it and start over if it? Let's run the code. Okay, so we got your Bitcoin investment is worth 4,800. Let's get our flag. Throw this in. And for the next one Bitcoin is now worth 24,000. In the code editor on line 14, update this Bitcoin to USD variable value to 24,000 and see if your Python program recognizes that your investment is below the 30,000 threshold. So we want to on line 14, but that's not the same. USD variable to USD variable. Where's my USD? So we want to change this to 24,000. And let's run this and see if it picks it up. And there we go. Alert, your Bitcoin investment is below 30,000. So we did that. Check it. And we move on to task 9. Files. In Python, you can read and write from files. We've seen this in cybersecurity. It's common to write a script and import or export it from a file, whether that be as a way to store the output of your script or to import a list of hundreds of websites from a file to enumerate. Let's dive straight into an example. And then we've got this example here. To output the file, we use the built-in open with parentheses function, and the R parameter stands for read and is used as we're reading the contents of the file. The variable has a read with parentheses method for reading the contents of the file. You can also use the read lines with parentheses method and loop over each line in the file. Useful if you have a list where each item is on a new line. In the example above, the file is in the same folder as the Python script. If it were elsewhere, you would need to specify the full file path or the full path to the file. You could also create and write files. If you're writing to an existing file, you open the file first and use the A in quotes in the open function after the file name call, which stands for append. If you're writing to a new file, you use the W in quotes write instead of an A in quotes. See the example below for clarity with this example. Notice we use the close method after writing to a file. This closes the file, so no more writing to the file within the program can occur. Then we have answer the question below. In the code editor, write Python code to read the flag.txt file. What is the flag in the file? Okay, so So we have this flag.txt. Let's go over to our script. Let's write, why can't I write? Equals open. Assuming it's in the same directory, flag.txt, close it with a quote. You want to do R just like they did in their example. Print. Read. Close. Print F. Read. Okay, let's run the code and see if I did it right. And there we go, we got the flag. Check that. And on to task 10. Imports. In Python, we can import libraries, which are a collection of files that contain functions. Think of importing a library as importing functions you can use that have already been written for you. For example, there's a date library that gives you access to hundreds of different functions for anything date and time related. Then we've got our example here. They're importing date time. We import other libraries using the import keyword. Then in Python, we can use the imports library name to reference its functions. In the example above, we import date time, then access the .now in parentheses method by calling library underscore name.method underscore name parentheses, copy and paste the example above into the code editor. So let's go ahead and grab this and throw that in and run the code. And we get our output here. Here are some popular libraries you can find useful in scripting as a pen tester. We've got Request as a simple HTTP library, Scapy, SendSniff, Dissect, and Forge network packets, and Pwn Tools, a CTF and exploit development library. Many of these libraries are already built into the programming language. However, libraries written by other programmers not already installed in your machine can be installed using an application called pip, which is Python's package manager. Let's say you want to install the Scapy library, which allows you to craft your own packets in code and send them to other machines. You install it first by running the command pip install Scapy, after which, in your program, you can now use the Scapy library. Read the task and run the Python example. So we've already done this. This is just a recheck. We're going to go ahead and complete it, and that's going to complete our Python basics. All right, well, we can go through this. Next is going to be Python for pen testers. So I hope you have a great day. Hope you enjoyed. Take care.